Everybody, welcome into another episode of PHNX Suns Podcast, pregame edition. I'm Lindsay, that's Saul, that's Gerald, that's Espo. Game 82, gentlemen. Can you believe it's finally here?
Oh, thank God.
We did it.
Aww.
We made it.
It's time!
We got here. We made it.
I'm stressed.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm
excited.
stressed.
I'm not
Today's
stressed.
going to be a day.
I'm not stressed. I'm glad we're finally here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just ready for the playoffs to start, because it was always about like, well, you know, this team is either built for the playoffs, or they're going to flame out, or they're going to win a championship, or they're going to like we're about to find out.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah.
Throw the other 81 out.
Mm.
Come out today, get a little help from the Lakers, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
We've had our ups and downs. We've bitched and moaned. We've celebrated. This has been the weirdest Suns season I think I can remember, at least in a very long time. All of it goes out the window. If you get a win, you wind up in sixth, and you just see what happens at that point. And that's all we can hope for at this point. You get 7, it's going to be a real interesting week. I'll say that for it.
Okay, well, let's go through some of those scenarios, because there's a lot of games today and a lot of different scenarios that have the Suns involved in them. Gerald, do you want to break this down? I feel like you
Sure.
were the meme, Charlie trying to connect all the dots,
Yeah, sure.
putting all this
Let's,
together.
Did you use an
Let's-
algorithm or some kind of computer simulation to
I
figure
did
this
not.
out?
I used the press release from NBA Communications. But
I mean, we can start with
not
the
everyone.
current
I
standing.
don't get it.
yeah, let's take a look at the standings first. So obviously, Suns are currently in 7th. They're a game back from the Pelicans. They're going to need some help today if they want to overtake them for that 7th spot. We got a 3-way tie at the top of the West between OKC, Minnesota, and Denver, and that could matter if the Suns wind up in that 6th spot, because there's a number of outcomes based on who's going to wind up in that 3rd spot, and then who the Suns would play in the first round if they can climb to 6. And then obviously we've got the play-in situation near the bottom between LA, Sacramento, and Golden State, those 3 all vying for position. And that matters because depending on what happens in those 3 games and a couple of other games could determine who the Suns are playing in the play-in in the first game on Tuesday.
Did you see the weirdest thing about this is Steph and Draymond are out due to rest. They're not playing.
It's interesting.
At least that's the
They
report.
had a-
At least that was the report that was.
They had a
was
puncher's
circulating.
chance at number 8 if the Kings lost to the Blazers, which probably won't happen, and the Lakers lost to the Pelicans. So that's interesting to me
But
if
I-
that's still standing.
Yeah, I mean, if that's true, you're also waving the white flag on
Who's got
getting 9 to win.
who's got the tiebreaker between the Kings and the Lakers?
I don't.
Oh, the Kings swept the Lakers this year, 4-0.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So if in my mind, I was like, well, maybe they just want to play the Kings, but that's not the case.
Yeah, unless they don't have the advantage over either of the other two, and they know they'll likely be locked in 10, win or lose in that in a scenario like that. I don't know. This whole thing's going to be bizarre, and I love the NBA for putting every game in the Western Conference all starting at the same time.
Love it.
Nobody gets an advantage. It's going to be chaos across the board. It's going to be unbelievable trying to figure out what the hell is going on
As it should
at
be.
scoreboard watching. And you got to wonder how much it will impact some of these teams too. Like if, God forbid, the Pelicans have a giant lead on the Lakers, does that impact the way the Suns are playing in any way? Like, do we see anything like that today?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And for those who are wondering, like, obviously, no matter what, you want the Suns to get that 6 seed so they avoid these do or die scenarios. No 7 seed since the play-in tournament started has ever failed to make it to the playoffs, but we don't want to test any of that. So if you can get to the 6 seed, you should want that. And I think we can all agree that the Timberwolves are probably the most favorable matchup of those 4 or those 3 teams that they could face. So let's take a look at what needs to happen for that 3-6 matchup to happen. For the Suns to get the 6 seed and the Timberwolves to get the 3 seed, the Nuggets need to beat the Grizzlies, which is doable. The Thunder need to beat the Mavs. The Mavs are resting Kyrie and Luka today, so that is doable. The Lakers need to beat the Pelicans, which they are fighting for positioning, and so are the Pelicans, so that one's going to be the tough one. And then obviously the Suns need to beat the Wolves, and that is sort of a tough one as well, given that we don't know what Suns team to expect on a nightly basis.
So for the first time ever, go Lakers!
Go Lakers,
Yes.
go Thunder, go Nuggets, go Suns. That's what you should be rooting for if you want that 3-6 matchup, Suns-Timberwolves.
But there is a world where 3-6 is Nuggets Suns.
Oh yeah.
It takes the
Oh, yeah.
Nuggets losing to the
It's-
Grizzlies, but
Which,
That,
if they lose to
right?
the Grizzlies, that'd be insane.
So that's the more, I think Nuggets falling to 3 is the more possible outcome. For the Suns and Nuggets to be matched up in the first round, Memphis would have to beat the Nuggets, which is,
buckle up.
unlikely that the Grizzlies would beat the Nuggets. But the Nuggets did just lose to the Spurs the other day. So there's that. I don't know.
The Grizzlies season has been an absolute wreck. Bless their hearts.
Yeah.
It's not fair for them, but I don't know. That would be insane. All I know is that the games that you need to be watching today are all of them.
The games to
So-
watch.
Hopefully you have a setup that you can have on at least a couple games at the same time. If not, bust out your computer, your phone, make it happen, because we're going to be keeping an eye on all of these things. All right, gentlemen. Game 82, Suns versus Timberwolves. How you feeling? Confident? Anxious?
Confident for multiple reasons. We've seen what they're capable of doing against Minnesota this year. They're fully healthy outside of, we'll get into it, Eric Gordon. And then, look, if there was ever going to be a moment, and I know we've said this a lot this year, but that made them realize, okay, let's go. It's what Bradley Beal did the other night, and how passionate he was, and how he came out in that fourth quarter and led them in a way. So, you know what? If I was ever going to be confident, I'm going to make it game 82 where it matters the most. And if this team's really built for the playoffs, they come out and they smack around Minnesota tonight or this afternoon, because it means that much, because this is a playoff game.
Yeah, I'm reasonably confident. I think the Suns match up well with Minnesota. That's why we would prefer that to be the 3-6 matchup if it comes down to that. I do think, for whatever reason, the Timberwolves' number 1 defense has not bothered the Suns. And I think a lot of that is because they force you into mid-range shots, and the Suns are really good in that respect. They know how to attack Rudy Gobert in those situations. Cat changes the equation a little bit in terms of giving the Wolves more offensive firepower, but I think they can make him work defensively with the 4 shooters that they have out there. So I like the matchup, and I think they've proven that in the first 2 games. Now they need to do it in this one that means the most out of those 3.
I mean, sometimes the matchups are all that matters.
Mhm.
And we've been sitting here talking about the teams that we could possibly play. There's a reason why a lot of people would rather play the Minnesota Timberwolves, is because we match up very well with them, even with Cat. And we saw that in the very first game of the season, blowing them out by, I think, 20 or something like that. So, and they dominated that whole game. Like the Timberwolves weren't even in that game from the jump. And so I'm excited to see what's going to happen today. I would say I wouldn't say I'm confident or I'm lacking any, optimism. I'm just excited to see what's going to unfold. And, I think if Bradley Beal's, attitude at the end of that game is in fact infectious, then that could really, like I said on Friday night, that could be the spark to the rest of this run, that when you look back, you can like, man, that was the moment that somebody stepped up and really took the lead and finally out loud said, like, I want to win a damn ring. Like, I know all the guys want to win a ring. Don't get me wrong.
No question.
Every single one of them want to, but the fact that he was so enthusiastic about it and he was so passionate about it, it was just refreshing to see somebody in front of us be passionate. I don't know what happens behind closed doors. I've heard other things about Book and KD and stuff like that behind closed doors. That's cool and all, but I can't see it, and I don't know if it's happening. So to finally get some visual confirmation of that is kind of refreshing.
It just instills a little bit of confidence in you that they're feeling some type of way about heading into the playoffs. Like, they have some energy. They got some juice behind them. Should we play the clip? Or?
Well, I just personally want to say Kevin Durant is my Lord and Savior, and I hope he comes out and just crushes today. We can play the clip now.
Okay, thanks, Espo.
What type of a zone were you in out there?
Playoff zone, man. It's time. It's time. It's time to start playing defense. It's time to execute and take care of the ball, offense. It's time, man. We want to win the ring. It's time. It's time. It's time, Amanda. It's time.
It's time. It's time.
I'm hype. I'm hype as hell. I'm ready to go.
You heard the man.
Is it time?
It's time.
I think it's time.
Did anybody else catch the like bell in the back too after he says it's time right at the very end?
No, they were about to play jump.
No, I know, but it sounded like it was perfectly timed, like it was like it was the clock.
It's time.
Like it's
On
time.
purpose.
It's time.
It's time. I mean, honestly, like it really is.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. You're about to enter either right into the playoffs or do or die situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he went out on a limb to say that. Like,
No, but
it is
the
time.
energy, the
Yeah.
kind of passion that came out, low key, maybe a little bit of frustration within some of those feelings too. You know what I mean?
We didn't feel like it was time after the Clippers lost.
No.
Lost or the Clippers win either.
No, not at all. Well, also, like, think about the last couple years. I would say outside of maybe the Nuggets series last year, even though it ended in a flub in Game 6, you could tell that Book and KD were into those games. Like, the team wanted to win those games, right? But like that Mavericks series the year before, like looking at that series when they were losing those games, I was like, what is going on right now? Like, it was confusing to see that, like, the body language, the mannerisms, the lack of good play, even though we've seen 64 wins previously, like it just is like something just disappeared. And we've seen that from time to time. And it looked like that's what was happening this week. Like, what just happened to the team? Like, they just had a good run of games. They lost a close game to New Orleans. They're right there in the thick of it. And then they come out and just are so flat, and like even worse than flat against the Clippers. And so it leaves a lot to be, wondered about this team. But the fact that they came out and they had such a good fourth quarter, I wouldn't even say a great fourth quarter. They just battled. Mm-hmm. They battled and battled and battled, and led by Bradley Beal, they were able to overcome. So, I got to give them credit for that for sure.
Yeah, hopefully it's the shot in the arm that they need, aside from just the way that they're playing on the court. Because I felt like in that game, like KD and Book did the carrying through the three quarters. Like, it's not that they didn't care. It's just that they couldn't put together that momentum type run that we saw from Bradley Beal in that fourth quarter. He carried them home in the end, especially during that stretch when it was just him out there and they needed it. So that was good to see.
Credit.
It was,
wasn't that you were failing.
Right. It was
credit,
doing the dirty work. It was getting them across that finish line. And it was a much needed shot in the arm in terms of like, yeah, we're fired up after a win. We're hyped. We're about to turn a corner. Now I hope that we see it again today, because that Kings game was ugly. It would be nice to just blow out a good team that you match up well with today to put yourself in better position.
Yeah, and Brad taking over those fourth quarter minutes without Book and KD is a huge part of them being able to be successful, because they've struggled so much in that situation. So.
All right, well, let's take a look at the injury report. It was a lot of moving parts on this one. For the Suns, Drew Eubanks was questionable coming into this one with right ankle soreness. He is available. Eric Gordon, though, was a last-minute addition. He is out with a migraine. On the Timberwolves side of things, Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns were questionable coming into this one. Ant with an illness and Cat with a left meniscus tear. Both of them are available, but Jalen Clark is out. So a lot of people are saying this is probably better for the Suns, since over the past few weeks, we've played not as great against teams when their star players are out.
Yeah.
So they've got both of them. So
right.
That should be a positive.
All the motivation, all the stakes, and all the defensive liability with Cat out there. It's a great combination.
Yeah. Unfortunately, EG is out. Do you think this really affects the Suns in a great way? Obviously, you'll miss his shooting. When he's hot, he is absolutely hot. And the rotations have been shrinking a lot lately.
No.
Okay.
It means we'll get more Bull minutes, and that's pretty much about it. That's what Frank said before the game. Bull has not been part of the rotation because he's been shrinking the rotation, giving more minutes to starters. With EG out, he said Bull's going to get more run today.
Were you trying to be funny there?
What?
Because it's Bull and shrinking to EG? No? Okay.
I was, but
I I think you're going to see typical playoff minutes from Book, Katie, and Beal, too. I mean, 44, 45 minutes from those guys won't shock me. So I have a feeling Eric's minutes were going to be limited if he wasn't hitting early anyways. So
again, I think that's dependent on what's happening with the Pelicans. If you get to halftime and the Pelicans are up like 20 at the half, you're probably like, okay, well, we're going to gauge this in the entire third quarter. And if they're still up by 20 going into the fourth, then we're just going to nix it because it's over.
They are rolling with their OG traditional starting five. We've got Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Kevin Durant, and Yusuf Nurkic. So no changes there. But what are the guys going to be wearing, though?
Oh, they're bringing out the purple icon, which I like. But the Wolves are wearing their classic edition, which I like as well. This is a pretty matchup today.
I
Game
love
82.
those.
Yeah.
Those are great.
I'm not going to lie.
Yep. And I hope they play like they used to play in those uniforms. They're hot trash when they wore those uniforms in the late 80s and early 90s. So give me those Timberwolves, baby.
They also tweaked the blue on those uniforms,
They did.
which pops out a little bit more. That's what I like about them so much more. But yeah, I agree with that. So I hope they played just like dog shit when they were in the 90s.
Give me those Christian Leitner Wolves years. Come on.
Oh, my goodness. We have a super chat from Psycho Blue. Thank you, Psycho Blue. They said, no EG, more Eubanks, and worst of all, Flex is close to winning a bet. Suns finished 7-3 in the last 10 with a win. Are we doomed? Well, at least no more mystery players. Please don't suck.
Yeah. I mean, that is the one thing that's kind of crazy is when we were looking at this last 10-game stretch, I was anticipating 5-5, and it's kind of felt like that. But if they win today, they've been 7-3. It's just that the losses have been so like demoralizing and bad that it kind of skews our perception. But they're winning games somehow still.
But doesn't that encapsulate the whole season?
Kind
like
of,
right
yeah.
There, it's
they're
like
15 games above 500, pretty much.
But those losses have been so painful that you're just like, I can't believe it, this team.
Yeah.
And 7-3, if they finish that in the last 10 in the hardest final 10 in NBA history, you're still going to go, yeah, but those 3 losses make me feel like I can't believe it, this team. So it's perfect way to end this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the losses, the San Antonio and the Clippers loss are really the two. I'm okay with the Pelicans loss.
The Thunder one, though.
Oh, yeah.
25.1 to the Thunder without Shea was bad.
Yeah, that was really.
But again, I think for me, that one they are a really bad matchup. They're a bad matchup.
I don't know why people keep saying, "Oh, I want OKC."
I don't want
you don't. No, you don't.
No, I'd rather the other two.
Denver,
I just feel like they would run us out of the gym.
Yeah.
They've done it every game this year.
And they're really young, too. It's like all that energy.
They just run around all the old guys.
I know.
Shit.
Yeah, at least you know if
I mean, that's what it makes you feel like. They're not old.
But if you're playing Denver or you're playing Minnesota, you know Nurk can have a real role and a real impact. Against OKC, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, that may be a series that at some point you can't rely on him.
All right, guys. Who you got and by how much?
Suns by, I don't know. Let's just get the win. That's all I'm going for.
But you're
right
rocking
now.
with the Suns at
I'm
least?
rocking with the Suns.
Okay.
I got Suns by 4.
I have them by 5. So
I don't know. Again, like this is so unpredictable. Not because of their play, but because of all the other circumstances leading into it. We could look at a situation like I said before, like they might not play in the fourth quarter. You just don't know. So I'm just gonna say about 1. Keep it simple.
There you go.
All right. What do our friends at the BetMGM Sportsbook app think about this one?
Yeah, they don't know either. They have the Wolves by 1.5 right now, but again, that's a toss-up basically.
You can get the Suns money line at plus 105. I'm surprised this didn't change, to be honest with you.
I thought it was the other way.
It was earlier.
Yeah, 2.5 by the Suns.
I think it was probably because
last night it was still.
I think it's probably because Ant and Cat were questionable at that point.
Yeah,
so
probably.
they were
on the
available.
BetMGM Sportsbook app, the Wolves are still favored by 2.5.
I
Okay.
thought
Oh, now
you were
it's
going to
2.5
say
now.
because of Eric.
Well, because usually the home team gets 2 points, right?
Yes, usually.
So
that's the
they
way
have
it
just
works.
a tiny bit of faith.
Oh, I could make a
Tiny
joke,
bit.
but I don't want to make the joke. I'm not making the joke
I don't know what the joke is, so I'm
What's
going to
the
just
joke?
keep going from there.
about someone who was deemed available that might have swung the odds.
Oh.
I'm not making the
Oh,
joke. though.
Gerald.
I'm not making it.
Okay. So it is game 82, which means it is our final bet of the season on the BetMGM Sportsbook app for a PHNX competition. We're not going to tell you what we put our money on today, though, because we have decided within this competition that the final game is a secret because you are allowed to wager whatever you have in your account. So let's go ahead and look at the standings as of right now. So Espo has $473 to play with. I have $70. Saul and Flex are in the negative right now, so they still get their $10 that they get every single game. So that means we could see some outrageous parlays from Saul and Flex trying to get back into this.
Oh.
Who knows?
I mean, they're gonna have to be.
I don't know why you would expect anything less. Like, listen, not only did I swing for the fence, but I will say this: if I hit it, I actually put my own money on it because I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna hit it, I might as well make it twice as good.
Right.
So not only would I be excited because I probably would win this, depending on what Espo did, I don't think you would be able to beat me off of your bet. I just don't.
Wow.
I just don't feel like you took enough risk to get the amount of money that I would win off of this bet.
Okay.
Espo's the one that might be able to if he didn't play conservative.
Yes.
If he didn't play conservative.
Am I batshit crazy enough to have just
I mean,
done it?
I definitely feel like, and I don't know, obviously. I feel like Espo took a first bucket with all his money.
No, really?
No way. That'd be
That would
wild.
be
Like
such
everything,
an Espo thing
everything,
to do,
but
though.
everything, maybe
I
a
don't think
dollar
you're that
more than
batshit
what you have.
I
Okay.
went 63 leg parlay. Let's go.
Well, you can only go 10.
$1 bet.
No, I did 6 different 10 leg parlays.
So this will be interesting because, listen, we already know that Saul and Flex probably took major swings, right? That's kind of a given. But what Espo and I are doing over here remains to be seen. So
Gamesmanship.
you're going to have to come back for the post-game show to find out what happened, what we put our money on, and who wins the ultimate competition. But if you want to put some money down on this Suns Timberwolves game, make sure you sign up for our friends over at the BetMGM Sportsbook app. You can sign up using the bonus code PHNX. And when you use that bonus code, all you got to do is place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $10, and you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if the bet loses. You can check out the show notes for full details, and now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Get stuffed, Ontario. And I'm not going to apologize for Flex yet. So
Honestly, best case scenario, I know we were joking about it before the show started. If Flex wins, you can't even be mad at it.
Oh, I'd
you can't
laugh.
even be mad at it. You'd have to help. You'd have to cheer for that.
Can we get the Puerto Rican anthem that we can play if he wins? I think we're,
Might be.
Is it?
I don't know how that works.
How can the national anthem be copyrighted or an anthem?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I
If we get hit with a cease and desist from Puerto Rico, we'll know.
don't think it's copyrighted. I don't think Francis Scott Key was like, you know what?
Trademark.
Let me copyright this thing.
Well, don't copyrights end after a certain amount of time?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's definitely way past his
Think
time.
we passed that one.
I feel
That's
like
why-
copyrights.
That's why Steamboat Willie and Winnie the Pooh can get used in horror movies now.
That's true.
Oh, Steamboat Willie is?
They're releasing
Oh,
one.
Jesus.
Oh, no.
Did you guys ever see the Pooh one?
No.
No, it looked bad.
Marco in the chat said, Lindsay's feeling frisky today. She's betting a plus 100. That's what Saul said.
That's exactly what I
Saul said the
said.
exact same thing.
I was
when
like,
he
she didn't
walked
do
in here.
plus 135. She's like plus 270. Ooh.
It's a real swing. OMG. Jodeci sent us a super chat. They said, I don't know about you guys, but I'm skeptical how the Suns will be these playoffs. I want to believe this team can bring a championship. How do you guys feel?
I'm setting a look. This has been a weird ass season. Like I said, put it all to the side. Just I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna try to be optimistic, and hopefully they surprise us and we're in for a long run. If they don't, we're gonna get the changes that some people want, and we'll see how this rides next year. That's all I can think at this point.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've been saying this for weeks. I have no idea what to expect from this team on a nightly basis. I would like to think with the playoffs coming up and depending on the matchup, if they get a favorable one where Nurt can stay on the floor, they've got a real shot at advancing to the second round, maybe even the conference finals if the stars align in the right way. But if they don't, or if they come out and play with the inconsistency that we've seen for most of the season and especially the last month or two, like they could go home in the first round. I have no idea.
I long ago decided that, well, first I thought this team doesn't have a chance to win a championship based on the way they were playing and the chemistry issues and all this other stuff. I have since decided, you know what? I'm just going to go into this postseason with no expectations. Whatever happens, happens. If they end up getting to the Western Conference Finals or the finals or win a championship, even better. But if they flame out in the first round, I'm not going to be surprised, and I'm not going to be, overreactionary. I think this team is wildly too unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. So just go into it with an open mind, and you can't be disappointed, I guess.
Yeah. As Mark put it in the chat, the Suns will do whatever they do.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. All right, gentlemen, final thoughts before we get out of here.
I'm just really excited for all the games today. Really excited to watch the Masters on the side TV. Let's go.
Yeah,
right.
Let's do it. It's time.
It's time.
It's time.
It's
time.
All right, well, we are going to have a watch along as well.
I felt like she was on a roller coaster.
That's exactly. This is the end of it, right? This is the end of the first ride anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, you think it was bumpy throughout the season? Yeah. Like, buckle up.
It was aggressive. We are going to have a watch along for this game. So after this show ends, look for that link on our YouTube and on our socials. And of course, meet us right back here after it wraps up for the post-game show. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.